Hi there, and welcome to day 2 of the Launching Made Easy workshop. My name is Megan Huber. I am your host for this entire incredible training series. So come on in. We are going to get started here super quick. Go ahead and get out your workbooks. Make sure you have that handy. Today, we are diving into generating quality leads, high-paying leads, high-level leads so that you can sell out your flagship group coaching program over and over and over again, specifically with the people who are going to come in, decide that they desire to work with you. They're going to commit to going all in, and those clients are going to show up and they're going to get the best results possible while they're working with you in your flagship program. So come on in. I can see you all piling on. Go ahead and say hello. Let me know how you're doing today. Let me know where you are joining us from. Say hello to each other. You all are already blowing my mind. I love this process so much because we get to know each other so well. So I love chatting with you in the comments. I've been looking at some of your action items from day 1. I'm going to respond to all of those later today as soon as I have a chance to really go through all of them in great detail. And so many of you are chatting with me in private messenger or through the chat bot. And if you see a message that looks like it's not a chat bot, it really is coming from me. So some of us are having some conversations over there. And then also, you have your own personal success coach, Elizabeth Galprin. So Elizabeth is here with you throughout this entire process to ensure that you are getting the most out of this experience that you possibly can. She's here to support you, answer your questions, find out how it's going for you. So if you are not already friends with her on Facebook, go ahead and friend her. I have tagged her quite a few times on this page. Her name is Elizabeth Wilson Galprin. She's also sent as many people as we can figure out who are actually officially registered from the email list. Sometimes it's hard to tell who you are on Facebook because it's a different name in the email. Anyway, she has friend requested all of you. So check for that. And she's also sent, again, as many of you as we can figure out who's who. She has sent you a private message as well. If you're not friends with Elizabeth, it went into this weird box in Messenger that's called message requests. So if you have not checked that, check that. And she's going to be kind of talking to you all throughout the week. This week, and even in some of our bonus sessions, we really want to give you a full experience here. We want to show you how much we care about your time investment and your commitment, not necessarily to us and to this curriculum this week, but really about you committing to yourself and ultimately committing to your next level in your business, whatever that is for you. So we have tons of support here for you. Make sure you are all in this entire week because that's how you're going to get the most out of this experience. So say hello. I see all of you coming on. We're gonna dive right in today. So we've got a lot to cover. I'm super excited to talk about lead generation because I have found, even at levels where people are already at 7 figures a year in their business, lead generation seems to be one of the, I'd say probably one of the top 2 biggest problems that coaches and entrepreneurs online are presenting. And it's probably one of the top 2 challenges that I see when people join this Facebook group. So as you know, when you join this Facebook group, I ask 3 membership questions. And I believe it's question 2 that asks you about your biggest challenge, or maybe it's question 1, when it comes to creating and launching and filling your flagship core offer. And I'd say about 80 to 90% of the people who answer that question, it has something to do with lead generation. And lead generation is really important, not just because we're looking for these really ridiculous high numbers, because you can actually have an insanely successful business without having such a huge community or list. I think what you really mean when you're talking about lead generation is that you desire the right clients. You desire high quality. You desire high level. You desire high paying. Do you agree with that? Are we just looking for any lead? Are we looking for high quality, high level, high paying? Answer that for me in the comments section and let me know When it comes to lead generation, is it that you just want anybody and everybody to show up so that you have thousands of people following you and you can just have anybody and everybody say yes to your programs? Or are you looking for the high quality, high level, high paying client? Let me know in the comments. I can see some more folks have joined us. Hello, hello, from all over the country, all over the world. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Yes, I'm getting some yeses. I'm looking at the comments right now. Yes, high quality, high level. Absolutely. Quality leads for me. Amazing. It's not just about the numbers, because here's what we know when we just focus on the numbers and making money. You end up getting people in your programs who do not actually either A, show up, or B, fully consume, or C, really dedicate themselves and commit themselves to doing whatever it takes to become the person they have to become to get the results and experience a transformation that you and your program are actually promising. And for us to really become a league of our own in this industry, it is pretty vital that we have people taking our programs who are getting incredible results. If we just have a bunch of people going through our programs over and over and over again, and people are not making progress or even coming close to getting the result, then there's this thing called social proof. And most of you probably know what I'm talking about. Your high level, high quality client, one of the things that they are looking for is, do you have a successful track record? Do you have a successful track record with yourself and creating the results that you are promising other people? And do you have like a decent amount of success stories, case studies, testimonials, whatever you want to use to describe it? Do you have a successful track record with the clients who've gone through your program? Now, let's just be honest. None of us are ever going to have a 100% success ratio in our programs. There are so many variables that come along with every single client. There are thousands of variables, and a lot of those variables, you and I, as the coach, as the mentor, as the leader, we have absolutely no control over. But what we do have control over is our messaging. Our messaging is what's attracting the level of clients who are coming to us. What we do have control over is our energy. We have control over our thought life. That is also attracting the clients that you are seeing in your free communities. That's who you're attracting into your launches. It is very, very much based on your message and the words that you are using every single day when you are talking about what it is that you do in the world, combined with your energy. Look no further than those two things, and that is what has attracted the caliber of people that have been attracted to your world, wherever that is for you. So those two things are really important. We can also very much control our ability to deliver at an extremely high level of excellence once someone is inside of our program. So we have control over a few things. We have control over the level of support and care and concern we are giving over someone in our programs. But what we don't have control over are all the other variables that come along with every client who comes into our program. But it's really, really important that we're attracting the right people in our programs. And this is how I like to describe it. So that when that ideal client comes into your program, they're at a place in their journey, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, their skill level, spiritually, sometimes even physically, just depending on what it is that you're offering, so that when they join together with you and your zone of genius and the content and the methodology that you are going to plug them into. So they're basically plugging into your zone of genius. They're plugging into your signature framework. They're plugging into the caliber at which you teach, coach, and lead. Does that person actually have what it takes, and are they at a level where they can get the greatest benefit out of working with you? And that doesn't always equal they get the ultimate result that you're promising. Sometimes it does. What I am more concerned about really tracking inside of my programs and what I'm really looking at with my own clients is, are we making forward progress at a very consistent, very steady pace? And am I noticing that my clients are experiencing quantum leaps while they're in my program and then once they leave my program? So I really want you thinking about your zone of genius. I want you thinking about the methodology that you take someone through. I want you to really think about the caliber and level of excellence at which you operate inside of your programs. And at what level does someone need to be at so that they can actually get the most out of what it is that you are providing them inside of your program? Because the truth is, your business really, I don't want to use the word need. It's extremely vital that you are producing success stories through your programs. Because again, that's something that ideal client is looking for. Now, they don't necessarily need to see 200 videos of success stories from you, but again, they want to know that they're plugging into someone who's got that successful track record, because that's one of the pieces that's building trust. So remember, a high quality lead, and this is not something that's actually in your workbook, a high quality lead is someone who has already been trying to get the result that you are promising you're going to deliver in your program. They're already looking for a new and different opportunity. They're already on the hunt for a solution. An ideal client is not just a tire kicker. An ideal client is not someone who's just going to beat around the bush. An ideal client will not schedule a sales consultation with you without the expectation and the anticipation that more than likely they are going to say yes when they get on that call with you. So how many of you have ever had a sales consultation with someone and you get to the end of the sales consultation, whether this has happened recently or back in the day when you first got started, because I know we have all types of levels here. Someone gets to the end of the sales conversation and it is so like blatantly obvious that they didn't even come to the call expecting or anticipating to say yes and join your program. That has definitely happened to me before. Not recently. I'd say that has not happened to me in at least 2 to 3 years, but I've had that experience before. So just say, like, just put your hand up or give me a yes if you've actually experienced that before. So here's the difference. So I really want you to have your antenna up on who an ideal client really is. And it is someone who has the mentality that when they are going to bother to get on a call with you, they're coming to the call to make a final decision. They're coming to the call already in anticipation, already in expectation they're already like 90 to 95% of the way there to say yes. And maybe they just need to make sure it's a personality fit, or maybe they have like one final question for you. I find that I seldomly get on calls, but when I do get on a sales consultation call, I find that, and mine are only 15 to 20 minutes. I do not have sales conversations longer than that, because an ideal client doesn't need more than that. And a lot of ideal clients don't even need a sales conversation because they make decisions very differently. But I find when someone needs to talk to me for 15 to 20 minutes, it really is just to make sure there's a mutual good fit there. And they typically have one question for me and they were already sold. That just kind of bumps them up to that full yes. So as we're talking today about ideal clients, I really want you to elevate who you think you're talking to. Write that down. I want you to elevate who you're talking to. What I have found over the years is that oftentimes coaches are speaking at least one level, but sometimes I would venture to say it's 2 or 3 levels down from who they really desire to attract and work with in their programs. And quite honestly, they're talking 2 to 3 levels down from who's actually the best fit for their program. And here's what I mean by talking levels down. It's your messaging. It's the messaging, which we're actually going to talk about messaging and positioning is tomorrow. But these two, lead generation and messaging and positioning, really go hand in hand. But it's the words that you're choosing to use. It's the way that you are showing up and presenting yourself. It is your level of confidence. It's your level of charisma. It's your level of commitment. It's your level of conviction. It's your level of consistency. It's your level of calmness, even when things aren't going really well. And it's the words that you're choosing to use. So I find that, and this is where I really want you exploring and opening yourself up to go to this level. Simply change your language. Simply change your language. And I want to invite you to start talking to the person who is actually a level up than who is actually the best fit for your program. So for instance, one of the things that you will hear me and see me talking about is about building a 7-figure flagship program. Now, there might be 1 or 2 people here who are already making 7 figures in their business, but I'd venture to say that probably 90 to 95% of the people who are in this Facebook group and who are joining us in this series, you're probably not yet making $1 million a year through your flagship coaching program. But I'm going to talk at that level. I'm going to talk about you desire to build your flagship group coaching program to the level that it would bring in $1 million a year as a stream of income in your business. Because I'm going to talk a level up. Because here's what we know to be true with messaging. It's going to trickle down. So if I'm talking about create a 7-figure flagship program, that's not necessarily going to attract somebody who's already at 7 figures. But it is going to attract someone who could very easily, in the next 12 to 24 months, just kind of depending on the variables that you come in with, you can absolutely have a flagship group coaching program that is a 6 to multiple 6-figure stream of income in your business. Like hands down, I believe that without a shadow of a doubt, every single one of you here, when you commit to this Launching Made Easy process and you commit to a higher level flagship group coaching program, and you commit to repeating this process 6 times a year, I believe without a shadow of a doubt, whether it takes 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, or 24 months, or whatever it takes, you will absolutely experience a 6-figure or a multiple 6-figure stream of income just from that one strategy and that one flagship program. And some of you can actually do $1 million. Who would love, please don't make me be the only one, who would love to have a 6, a multiple 6, or even 7-figure stream of income from one offer in your business, filling it through one strategy, literally teaching the same thing every single time you launch, selling the same program every single time you launch, the simplicity of that, the degree that you will reach a level of mastery faster than anything else you've probably done in the past, because this time you're going to stick to it. This time you're going to commit to it. The level of brand positioning, the level of brand recognition that it will create for you when you follow the process, and every other month you are teaching your core methodology, your signature methodology. Every single time you run your own launch event, you are inviting people into your flagship program. And then in between that, the messaging is still incredibly aligned to that same signature framework, that same signature methodology, and you're still talking about that flagship program in between. I just want you, look, we've all been doing this for whatever amount of time we've been in this coaching industry. I know some of you may be on the newer side, but a lot of you have already shared with me, you've been coaching for a lot of years. Some of you have been coaching 3, 5, 10. Some of you have even been coaching for 20 years or more. And, I think that the thing that slows people down the most, and I experience this as well, it is the overwhelm. It is the stress. It is the complication. It is the confusion of all the many different strategies and tactics and even offers that everyone out there is selling us. And we're privy to those messages all the time. I mean, just hop on Facebook, and how many ads do you run across when you scroll for 5 minutes? And it's everybody under the sun trying to sell their next best tactic to get rich quick. And then we go jump and we go do it. And I think for many people, it's just a matter of not actually giving yourself a solid chance to master the strategy, to master the message, to master the framework long enough and consistently enough so that you give yourself and your business and your brand the best chance possible to elevate to the highest level. So anybody who you've ever admired in this industry, who just, however much money they make, they have it all together, they're hosting live events with hundreds or thousands of people there. We could name a few right now, and I'm sure you could think of some. And I'm talking about people who've been doing this for like a decade to 2 decades. If you look at what their message has been, who their ideal client has been, their offers, and their signature framework for all those years, it's the same. It's the same. They have the same offers. They tell the same stories. If you go back even 5 years and read their emails, they are the same. They host the same events all the time. They have the same programs. Very little changes. And that's the magic when it comes to scaling. And a lot of you are here because you love this word scale. We hear it tossed around in the coaching industry all the time. I want to scale, I want to scale, I want to scale. And I don't think people really understand what scale actually means and how to actually get to a point in your business where you can scale. So a lot of what you're going to hear me talk about this week, and when I'm teaching you about group coaching programs and flagship programs and launching them, especially tomorrow night for our bonus call at 7 p.m. Tomorrow's bonus call, which will be on Zoom, that is all about how to scale your group without sacrificing client experience, client results, or your freedom. Most people think that the way to scale is just, let me just go set up Facebook ads to funnels and go sell my $297 like self-study course. Good luck with that. Statistics show that only 1% of internet marketers are actually incredibly successful with that process. It doesn't work for the other 99%. So I would not like those odds for myself or for you. And really the way you want to scale, most people are doing it the backwards way. Most people are doing it opposite. They're creating membership sites, self-study courses, and low ticket programs that require you to welcome such a high volume of people for you to actually make decent recurring monthly income with that. And people are starting those types of programs before they have become a household name in their marketplace. Before you have got such a high level of brand positioning and brand recognition. That's why it feels like you're on this hamster wheel with these low ticket courses. Furthermore, because we are talking about generating high quality leads today, low ticket attracts low level. I don't know any other ways to say it. That's the nicest way to say it. It doesn't mean people are bad and wrong. That's not what I mean. But low ticket breeds low level audience, low level community, meaning they are probably, you may have one or two, but your person buying anything low ticket under 1,000, that's not your $10,000 buyer. That's not your mastermind client. It's actually probably not your flagship group coaching client either. Even if your flagship is between like $3,000 to $12,000 or $15,000. Screams, I am not really good at what I do yet. And if we actually going to get results who are not constantly in victim mentality, who are committed, who do not ever bring excuses. It's not going to be the low ticket courses. It just invites those people. And it's even the lower level client. So where most people are starting with the lower ticket because they think, oh, I need to get experience. People need to experience me first. They'll buy this and then they'll move up to the next and then move it to the next, move up to the next. You hear it called the ascension model. In theory, it's fabulous, but it actually doesn't work well at all when you're trying to execute it in your business. You want to flip that on its head. And unfortunately, there are a lot of coaches and there are a lot of programs who are gravely misguiding the people in the coaching industry, quite frankly. In order for you to experience faster growth in a more simplistic and a more sustainable way, it's the other way around. It is to elevate your brand positioning, to elevate your core methodology, to elevate yourself as a leader in your space by having a flagship program. That is absolutely the way to go. Once that is a solid foundation, then it's okay to have a course. Then it's okay, if you even want it, to have a membership. Then it's okay to do a live event, a spin-off something, but not before, not before. That will come later. So that's just kind of a big picture overview for you on high quality lead generation. And now get into specifics. So the biggest takeaway from that piece right there, if you want to write, I'm sure you took a lot of notes from that, but if you want to write a couple of things down, number one, it is your mentality and it is your energy that is attracting the people who are attracted to you and who are revealing themselves to you in your community, in the comments section of your posts, on your email list, going through your launches if you're doing them, or what have you. So that's where it starts, with your energy and your mentality, your attitude, your mindset. That's all kind of one category. That's what's attracting it. Number two, it's your message. And the big thing that I want you to be really thinking about today, and I want you to go ahead and start doing this today, because if you're a coach and you've got a business and you're here, you should be marketing yourself every day this week out in the internet streets, wherever you are. Go ahead and start elevating your message today. If I can inspire you, I want you to go do that. I want you to look at your copy. I want you to look at the language. I want you to look at the words you're using, and I want you to observe it, not from a place of judgment, from a place of observation. And I want you to look at the words you're choosing to use. Are those words going to attract someone who is are you speaking to someone who's really a level or two up from who you really want in your program? When you speak a level or two up from who you really want in your program, that's when you get the right people in your program. I promise you, trust me on that. Okay, let me give you an example of that. It's a difference between, okay, I'll use myself as an example. It's a difference between me saying something like, scale the sales of your flagship group coaching program to elevate your brand positioning. That is going to attract somebody who is a little bit higher level than I just decided yesterday to start my business, and I have no clue what I'm good at. I have no clue what my purpose is. I don't know who my ideal client is, and I've never heard of a group coaching program before. That language I just said, it's not even going to attract this person over here who just decided yesterday to get started. That person would be attracted to, you've got no clue where to start because you're so confused with what's out there and you just want to decide what your coaching business is going to be about. So I could do the same. I could probably teach the same thing to both of those people. The process isn't that different at all, but it's the words I'm choosing to use that are going to attract a caliber of person. So those are the two big cornerstones of what is going to attract the quality leads you desire to attract. I would say a third, if you want to add a third, it's your level of consistency. So anytime, and again, I said at the beginning of this, probably 90 to 95% of the people who join this Facebook group, the biggest challenge is lead generation. I even hear it at levels where people are already making 7 figures a year. The biggest challenge becomes lead generation, even at that level too. I hear it from clients as well. We actually just did a training in Momentum yesterday on lead generation. When someone comes to me and they're talking about really struggling with lead generation, I always look at the mindset and I look at the messaging first. The third thing I look at is I want you to show me your calendar for the last 6 months. And I want you to show me in your calendar where you have lead generation scheduled in your calendar every single day for the last 6 months. Show me your calendar. The second thing I want you to show me is let's do an audit. Let's do an audit of your social media. Let's do an audit of your Facebook group. Let's do an audit of your email if you use it. But let's do an audit of how consistent you've been, not just showing up, but how consistent have you been with who you're talking to and what your message is, and how consistent you are with making offers, and how consistent you are with the things that are going to generate the leads. Show me the goods. And usually what we find is that when people are really struggling with lead generation is they quite simply have just not been consistent. And I like to see it in the calendar. I like to see it when I do an audit of someone's stuff that they're putting out there, because in our minds, we think that we're working really hard. In our minds, we think that we're doing everything right. In our minds, we think that we can't possibly be doing more to generate leads. And it's not really about doing more. But if it's not in the calendar, if I can't see it on your social media channels consistently over an extended period of time, then that is the red flag. That is what is pointing to, that's what we need to fix right there. It's that. And that is the most simple thing to fix right there. So those are the 3 big cornerstones of high quality lead generation that I really want you to grasp today, because without those 3 things, I will be really honest, the tactics, the strategies I teach you will not matter. It will not matter. And a lot of folks, when it comes to lead generation, I've seen this for 9 years, everybody's looking for this special tactic that they could just plug themselves into, or this special strategy they can just plug themselves into, and all of a sudden all these leads are going to show up. That's not where it actually starts. You've seen it in coaching programs. I haven't really talked much about my background or my own story. I'll get to that tomorrow, because if I do that today, we'll run out of time. And I want to get you in and out in an hour. I'll talk a little bit about my background tomorrow, but I have had the opportunity to work with over 1,000 clients at this point in my career. And one of the things that I have observed, and this is probably one of the things that really stood out to me, was that you could put 200 people in the same program. They have access to the same training, the same modules, the same coach, the same features, the same components, the same strategies and tactics, and they could actually all go deploy it. Why does it only work for certain people and not for others? That is mindset. That's attitude. That's mentality. That is consistency. That is commitment. And that is message. Those 2 things trump the tactics and the strategies all day long. So that's why it's so important for us to have this conversation first when it comes to lead generation, because I will not be the coach and the mentor who just gives you a list of tactics to go do and makes you think that that's all you need and that that's what's actually going to work, because I'd be lying if I sat here and gave that to you today. So now we're going to get into some of the nitty-gritty details. I still promise I'm going to give you some of the tactics, but for me to be authentically aligned with what I believe it really takes, and what I see tripping up 90% of the people out there trying to build a business, I would be out of integrity not to have started out that way. All right, so we are on page 7 of your workbook. Go ahead and whip that out. And we've got some fill in the blank here. We're going to talk about some numbers today. I think you're going to find these rather fascinating. So let's start at the top. It says location at the top. So we are really diving into lead generation for the purpose of launching your launch events, to fill your flagship group program. So where are you going to host your launch? Well, you are experiencing one right now, and you are inside of my Facebook group. This is my standard Facebook group community. This group has been in existence since January of 2017, and that's almost 4 years. It's a little over 3.5 years. So this is my main Facebook group. You can see how many members are here. I do not have a group that has 10,000 people in it. Maybe one day we will. I've been incredibly successful with a smaller, high quality, more intimate community where I'm extremely high touch with and extremely consistent with. And my focus has always been on building relationships. That is your best line of offense for lead generation. It is be all in on building relationships 365 days a year. You will bear so much fruit in your business when you focus on people first. So if you fill in the blank there, host your launch inside of a Facebook group. All right, let's move into the section on knowing your numbers. Something that is really important for me as a mentor is to make sure that people are kind of brought back down to earth, if you will, about the numbers game. So I'm all about intuition. I'm all about mindset. I'm all about like all kinds of stuff in that world. And I love business. I am a strategist at heart. That's probably my greatest zone of genius. And numbers don't lie. I love facts and I love data because it doesn't lie to us. And it causes us as humans to be incredibly honest with ourselves when we're tracking and evaluating that data. And one of the things that I find coaches, when they come in to work with us on their launches, where they're usually starting out at is, I'll say, how many people do you want to join your program when you launch? And the standard is usually between 10 and 20 people. Like that's what they'll say for their first one. Let's just go with 20. And I'm like, great. What is your goal for the number of people who you want to sign up for your launch event? And they'll say, I would love to have like 50 people signed up for my launch event. Okay, 50 people signing up for your launch event and 20 sales does not translate, because that is not how the percentages work when it comes to who's actually ready to buy from you when you make an offer. So there are 3 percentages I'm going to show you right now, and you're going to write those in your workbook in the section called Know Your Numbers. So the first one, on average, 3% of your audience is ready to buy when you make an offer. So at any given time in your business, over a 12-month period of time, every single time you make an offer, whether it's in a launch event or it is through, if you do webinars, or if you are doing, if you're just making like social media posts and you are actually generating clients through Messenger, through your social media posts, that's super possible. I do it all the time. We teach our clients how to do that as well. Only 3% of your audience at any given time when you make an offer are actually ready to buy in that moment. 3%. 3. Okay? That's pretty small. The second percentage, an additional 67% of people will be ready soon. The 67% is what people are falling flat on. Your 67% is where your greatest opportunity lives. The lack of consistency when it comes to lead generation, the lack of consistency on who you're talking to, on your message, on making your signature framework the star of the show, consistently launching, having a consistent message, showing up consistently. That is the place, that is your window of opportunity right there. That's where the 67% is going to become part of the 3%. So when we do something and it doesn't work and we get bent out of shape about it and we go hibernate, or we go jump to the next thing and we're inconsistent, that 67%, guess what they're doing? Guess what that 67% is doing? They were inches away from being ready to work with you, but they backed up and they went to the person who was actually being consistent with the message that that person wanted to hear. Happens all the time. I have actually experienced this. I experienced this a few times in 2017, actually, where I would have a sales conversation. The person would not decide to work with me. And 2 months later, I would see them go join somebody else's program. And I would say, okay, like, I want to know why, like, what about that person and their program did my prospect like over there that they didn't like over here? So not from a place of judgment, from a place of evaluation and observation. And so I'd go read their sales page. I'd go watch a video. I'd go kind of read some of their stuff. You know, I'd spend a good amount of time really evaluating and observing that. And what I found is that they were more on point with their messaging. They were showing up more consistently, and they were showing up more boldly than I was. And so what they did, so here's somebody in the 67%, that's the person, here's what they're looking for. They're looking to make sure you have a process. That's your signature framework. They also want to see proof. And they are kind of in that like teetering on, they've also already tried to get the result you promise. And they're kind of teetering on deciding to work with someone. And here's what else they're doing. They're watching you. Whether they're liking, hearting, or commenting on your stuff, they're watching you. They're reading your posts. They're checking you out. They are attending your launch event. They're joining your Facebook group. They're coming to your Facebook lives. They might be on your email list. And they're going to sit around and they're going to watch you. And part of what they're watching for is to see if what you talk about resonates with them. Is it relevant? But here's what they're really looking at, whether they are consciously thinking of this or not. They are looking to see if they can trust you based on your level of consistency. Because consistency, I think I said this yesterday, consistency over a period of time is what builds trust. So every single time we're inconsistent with lead generation, with messaging, with launching, with who we're talking to, the people in the 67%, they're dispersing and they're buying from someone else. It's not that you can't sell. It's not that people don't like you. It's not that you don't have the goods to transform a life. They're just going somewhere else. Remember yesterday I said just because someone's not buying from you doesn't mean they're not buying from someone else. So your job when it comes to lead generation of those high quality leads and with really cultivating those relationships, it's to move the 67% into the 3%. 67%, they could be ready tomorrow. They could be ready next week. They could be ready next month, or they could be ready 2 years from now. But don't you want to be the one who's getting their attention when they're ready? I want it to be you. I want to fill your flagship group coaching programs up to capacity, to excess, to the point where you've got to go hire a team just to help you deliver your program. That is what I want for you in your programs, because I know the only reason why you're here listening to me is because you are that good at what you do, because you care about people, or you would not be attracted to me, and you have exactly what it takes to help people transform their lives in whatever area whatever your craft is that you have been honing for all of these years. And then this third percentage is the remaining 30% will never buy from you. Unfortunately, I see a lot of coaches talking to the people in the 30%, and they're trying to convince. If you ever feel like you're trying to convince people they're in the 30%, don't ever talk to them. They're never going to buy from you, even if they're in your audience. Cool? Any ahas from anything that you have heard today so far? I would love to hear an aha, an epiphany, a takeaway, something that maybe you've never thought of it that way before, or even something that maybe you've never heard of before or heard in the way it was presented to you today that is actually going to cause you to shift, even if slightly, the way that you are approaching lead generation in your business. Go ahead and put those takeaways in the chat box here. Yes, I've always believed they are watching me. That's why my goal is to be consistent and continue creating value for them. Amazing. Yes, they're looking for certainty. Consistency. I have a feeling that might be a big takeaway from today. Awesome. 3% versus 67% and 30%. Yes. When you're just aware, like when you're just not, like none of us know what we don't know, but when you're really knowledgeable, it also helps you not bring all of your emotions into business when, you know, the whole world isn't buying from you. Love it. Elevate who I'm talking to, the 67%, mind blown. Awesome. And look, here's the other thing. There's a certain way to talk to the 67%, right? There's certain things that you have to know that have to be presented to them in a certain way to move them from the 67% to the 3%. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going because I've got a lot more to cover here. All right, show up rate. So this is when it comes to your launch events, okay? Your show up rate, which this is a launch event here. So to reach your goals, ideally, I want you to shoot for between 150 and 300 signups for your first few launches. So when you are really getting into the rhythm of launching, following our framework that I'm teaching you all week, that we teach you inside of our Momentum program, the first few times you launch, I want you to set the goal to generate 150 to 300 signups for the actual launch event, like your free event that you're going to do, where you're going to sell or invite people into your flagship program. 150 to 300 signups into the free launch event. Because in order for you to really hit a good goal of the number of people signing up for your program, you're going to probably need that many people to sign up. So I've had some clients do welcome 10 to 15 $5,000 clients into their program, only having 100 signups. So it also just kind of depends on where you're at in your journey and how much you've actually been cultivating your own community over time when you actually start this process. Then once you get the foundation down and you know that your process sells, once you know it sells and you're ready to start scaling, you don't scale. Okay, launching a group program for the first time is not scaling. So I don't know who is teaching anybody that business, but going from one-on-one to groups, that is not scaling. That's you kind of setting your business model up so that you can scale. But you've got to have a really solid foundation of a group program first. And you've got to have a solid foundation with your marketing and sales process that you know works like magically. And you can literally predict your results. Now you're ready to scale. That's going to take you launching a few times. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to make anybody think that you're going to be like ready to scale after one launch. You're probably going to have to launch a few times before your program is actually truly ready for scale. Once it's really ready for scale, then you need to start welcoming in like 500 people into your launch event, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. That's when you're hitting like $1 million plus a year, or even like at some point for some of you, $1 million launches in your business. And then last on this page is your promotional period. Give yourself 3 weeks to promote your launch event. So 3 weeks. I always promote my launch events for 3 full weeks. So I started promoting, it's September now, the end of August. Yeah, like I think I started promoting August 31st for this event, which started on September the 21st. So 3 full weeks of promo. There's a whole rhyme and reason behind that. All right, next page is super quick and easy. So we're gonna fly through this. I have a feeling that most of you could probably fill these blanks in even without me teaching you, but I'm gonna give them to you anyway. What assets do you need? So remember, like one of my favorite words is simple and low tech. And that is what is really cool about this particular launch process. It's really simple and it is super low tech. So what assets do you need to pull this off and make it work? And let me just make a little disclaimer here. You'll see it on your worksheet. It's in italics, kind of in the middle of the page. I don't do fancy. I don't know if I come across as fancy, but I'm not really like the fancy coach. I like to get it done. I like to be honest with people. I like to make sure my clients are making progress and getting results. In my opinion, I don't need to be fancy in order to get you results. And I think that you'd prefer me to help you get results and support you to the nth degree over me showing you how fancy I can be. Fancy to first is one of the best ways you can slow yourself down. It is one of the fastest ways to slow yourself down as well. You want to be slow growth, just go be fancy. And what I mean by that is all the bells and whistles, all the behind the scenes things, all the automation, all the sequences, all the stuff, like all the stuff. This process really strips away all that stuff. So here's like the bare bones basic. Once you've launched 5 times, once you've launched 6 times, I would say once you've got a good year of launching under your belt, then you can go get fancy. But it's not really until then that you're going to be getting fancy. So number 1, you need an opt-in page. So most of you probably went to a page, you plugged in your name and email. Okay, that's called an opt-in page. That's why you're getting my reminder emails, because now you're on my list. So create an opt-in page for people to give you their name and email to gain access to your launch event. I use 2 platforms to pull that off, ClickFunnels and ConvertKit. Number 2, create a simple workbook for participants to use while taking notes during your launch event. I got to tell you, I'm a former teacher, so I love a good workbook, and I spent like Saturday 4 hours updating this workbook to make it better, and I added some things and took some things out. I think it's a great supplement. I have had some clients who get really tripped up by a workbook. So it really just depends on if I'm working with you and I'm noticing what's really tripping you up. I may guide you to eliminate a certain asset just to get you out there and launching. But I do feel that a workbook is an excellent supplement for a lot of reasons when you are launching. Number 3, you want to drive registrants for your launch event to join your Facebook group. That is where your launch is going to happen, just like this. There's really not another platform yet that we have access to that really builds and cultivates community and relationship in the way that Facebook groups does. Until something better comes along, or until Facebook screws us all, it's Facebook groups for now. It works exceptionally well. I already am thinking very much ahead down the road for myself and my company and for my clients on how in the future, whether that's a year from now, 2 years, time will tell, how, like, where do we do this same launch process in other platforms that really cultivate community in the same way that Facebook groups does. So trust that me and my team, we actually talked about this yesterday. We already have a lot of those measures in place. We are steps ahead, already figuring those things out. But for now, it's Facebook groups. And number 4, use either your phone or laptop to go live on camera. So here's what you need. You need either your laptop or your phone to go live, a workbook, a landing page, and an email service provider, and a Facebook group, and yourself, and your audience, and your genius, and your brilliance, and your ability to build connection and relationship with people. There's no bells and whistles here. There's no fancy here. There's no all this back-end crazy, complicated, confusing technology and funnels and automation and all these things that confuse you and stress you out, and all these pre-recorded videos. I've done those launches before. I've done multi-million launches before using all of those things. You want to talk about stressed out to the maximum level, just go launch that way. I've been a team member where we launched multi-million-dollar programs. Talk about taxing your team. Just go launch them that way, and your team will be like a revolving door. All right, last page, and then I'm going to release you out into the wild and let you do your action items for today. So last thing is on page 9. And I'm going to give you 10 ways to fill your launch event. So this is always the piece that everybody wants because they want the tactic. But trust me, and this is why you always want to work with a coach, at least in business, who is a strategist, because tactic without strategy doesn't work. and you takes all day long, but if strategy isn't, then the tactics, you either think you don't work and you've got a problem with you, or you think that the tactics don't work and then you go like bounce around and just keep bouncing around. So there are two main ways to generate leads. There's no way around it, okay? Lead generation is a 365-day-a-year job, and it doesn't matter how much money you ever make in your business, even if you are an 8-figure earner in your business, you are always going to be generating leads. Always. It's a never-ending, never going to stop process. And I want to invite you and I want to empower you, because it really is about you stepping into a much more empowered level of leadership of yourself, of your company, of your team, and of your community and of your clients. But it is about you really falling in love with the journey and the process of generating leads. And if you don't like the words generating leads, all that is inviting people into your vortex that you can pour into, your zone of genius, who you have been designed to activate, so that when you activate them, they step up to the plate, they say yes to themselves, they make the decision, and they commit to being the best version of themselves, and they join your program. It is all about people. So we toss around numbers because there are numbers in business, but these people are people. They're human beings. So treat them the way that they deserve and desire to be treated. And that starts at the level of lead generation, not at the level when they pay you. It starts at the level of lead generation, not at the level where they pay you. Now you give your coaching and your customization and your personalization and all the access to you at the paid level. But in terms of treating someone like a human being, that starts at the level of lead generation. So there's two ways to do this. Number one, time. Number two, money. Eventually both. So time, that's manual, that's organic. Option number two, money. That is paid advertising and or hiring team members to help you. And even when the team members are doing it, the team members are spending their time, but you are investing your money in the team member so that you don't have to do it. That's also a way to scale. So it's either time or it's money. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, that's just something that you have to be on board with as an entrepreneur who's growing a thriving, long-lasting, sustainable company. Be on board with it. It's either your time or it's your money. So eventually it's both. And just so you know, I get a lot of questions like, do we use Facebook ads? So I have had 4 Facebook ads accounts shut down. And for this, well, actually all year in 2020, we have not used paid advertising at all. So even my launches, everything I do and have done all year, it's 100% organic. So 10 ways to fill up your launch event, and then we will close it down for the day. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I think they're all really self-explanatory. We teach in depth all of the how-to on all 10 of these, and then a lot more inside of our Momentum program, but this is a really good start for you. So how are you going to fill your next launch event? Number one, these are all, again, I think they're going to be pretty simple for you. So number one, posting inside of your existing Facebook group. Posting inside of your existing Facebook group. If you have been inside of this Facebook group for any length of time, and if you've been in this Facebook group for the last 3 weeks, or you've been through any of our previous launches, you see how much I post inside this group. It is multiple times a day, every day, inviting you to the launch event. So okay, and here's the thing I want to say about posting inside your Facebook group. This is where I see clients we work with where they fall short with the Facebook posting. They think that, and you might be doing this too, they think that as long as they just post like once every other day and invite people to come, that's going to be the trick, and it's not. So I want you to write this number down. I want you to write down